This is about how you solve the problem, whatever the problem is. You see, it doesn't matter what someone did to me in the solution. Now, it matters in the setting up of the problem. It matters how I took it and how I'm continuing to take it in the solution. I must stop it in order for me to feel better, to see better, to do better, to create better in my life. That's the bottom line. I've given you a lot of examples in science, a lot of examples in the universe. And I've given you those examples because these are examples of universal law. I want you to look and I want you to see it because I want you to understand this is not something that Ananda made up. I want you to see it for yourself and understand it is the law. Okay. Everything that has begun will end. There will be problems along the way. What you consider problems. Now we come to understanding of what those things are. If you look at the creation of your solar system, it just didn't happen smoothly, poof. And there were all the little planets going around the sun and everything was cool. There were explosions. There were things running into each other. There were things breaking down in order to be built up. This is the process. And this is why we must come to the point of accepting the things that happen because they build up on the other end. Something breaks down to build up. Ideas break down so that truths can be seen. Things that you have said, well, this is the way it is, this is the way it always ought to be. No. And if you resist that, the pain is yours. Now, how will you get rid of the pain? By accepting the truth. This is what happens. Ideas change. Thoughts about who I am change. This is the natural order of things. You live on a planet that constantly changes. You live in a solar system that constantly changes. You live in a galaxy that constantly changes. You live in a universe that constantly changes. All you have to do is look and see. We worry about things. We want to know about things. We want to know, oh, the Mayan calendar ends in 2012. Is this the end of the world? Could be. Could have been a couple of guys named Joe and Bob was sitting there figuring it out, and they figured, shit, man, I'm tired of this. Let's go see some girls. Stopped. Could be. Could not be. What we have to do is accept the possibility it could be. It could not be. We have to accept both sides of an equation. Both sides of the equation. One side does not exist without the other. We have to accept that. One side does not exist without the other. The possibility of one brings about the possibility of the other. One half of the equation is manifested, the other half remains unmanifested. When you switch, you switch. The point is, those things change. Now, what is the constant? The constant is you. This is peace. When you stand at the center and observe the changes going on about you, you are the constant. You see. You learn how to use things consciously. Consciously. Right now we are using the laws, but we're using them unconsciously. And when you do things without conscious, without view, without clarity, we bring about chaos. And that is where we are. Because we think, this is the way I see it, that is the way it is. No, it is as it is. We see, and we learn how to use those things together to create something of value. Not to be the same, here we are, nothing is ever right. All is always right. What is the problem? The observer to the situation has the problem. The observer to the situation has the problem. Not the situation. It is in flux constantly. Everything is in flux. Now, how do you order that situation? You accept that what you see and how you create it is only going to live for a brief period of time. A brief period of time, and then it is going to change. This is what we accept. Now, when we accept that it's going to change, what are we doing? We see the change coming. And the change does not destroy us. We ride the change to the next point in our life. Did you ever hear the old saying, go with the flow? You can't go with the flow if you're judging the flow not as a flow, but as a problem. Think about that. If I am making it a problem, it's a problem. If I see it for what it is, I can use it for what it is. Life becomes simpler. To learn to use energy. Now look, let's go back. I gave you a clue, I think it was last week, or a week before last, or whenever that was, I gave you the clue. I'm in the flow, I don't know. Everything is a flow. From that beginning moment of the creation of this part of the universe, the Big Bang, everything flowed because there was no form, only energy. Remember Einstein's formula. Energy equals mass. That's as simple as that. Mass is only a cooling down point of energy. As it cools at different points, different things become different things at subatomic levels. Okay. So flow is the basis of the universe. If you don't allow the flow, then you go against the law of the universe. That means change. Energy changed from energy to form, to subatomic particles. Subatomic particles became larger subatomic particles, and larger subatomic particles ultimately became particles that you can see. And that became cells, and that became organisms, and that became what you are now, and the things around you that you see now. This is only a point in the process. At some point, that too is going to change. That too is going to change. So what do we learn to do? To follow the flow. Accept the flow. Accept the next stage. Those who do not suffer greatly. When you see change coming and you don't want to change, think about how you respond to that. You respond with anger, with hostility, frustration. Let's ask a question. Can you do something about that change? No, you cannot. You can only do something about the attitude that you're holding that prevents that change from happening. Look around at young people. Moody, frustrated. Why? They are changing and they don't want the change. You have lived and have been born into a situation, say a mother and a father, or you, whatever it is. And that situation begins to change. People grow apart. They begin to see parents not as parents, but as people. People who have sex, people who go out, people who dance, people who laugh, people who tell jokes, people who do whatever it is people do. And the child does not want to see the change. So you have to recognize the child in you that does not want to see the change and causes itself pain. You can begin to accept the change that is in your life. But you cannot afford to hang back for someone else. You can't hang back because the moment you start hanging back, they're not going to move forward. And what are you going to do? Be hung back and caught in that whirlpool. If I'm going to treat you as equal, I'm not going to come back and start behaving as you behave. I'm sorry. No. I have a path. I am on that path and I'm going. If you want to come, come. Because this is the natural way and the natural flow of things. I am a kindred soul of yours, and we both must travel the same path to the same end result. We are separate until we find out we are the same. In our separation, do we know that we are the same? You must go through what you must go through to get to the same place I'm trying to get to. You don't understand that? That's all right. Keep living, you will. If you allow yourself to break down the idea structures that prevent you from seeing the flow of life, that prevent you from seeing and participating in the flow of life. In the flow of time, things change. If you look around, if you're old enough, you will see changes in this country. You see changes in everything. Some of them positive, some of them not positive. Change. That is the flow. And that is what we must accept. We accept the flow. We accept that the answer to our problems are simple. They aren't complex. We want to make them complex because we don't want to give up what we already have or what we think we already have. You have to remember, you own nothing. 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 You can use it for a while, but you don't own it. You don't own this. It will be for a while. Damn it, you lose it. There are no 1,000-year-old people on this planet. It just doesn't work that way. The flow, change. One thing changes to another, to another, to another, to another, to another. Life changes. Acceptance that it changes. This is truth. And when you live with truth, everything is better.